What up, gamers? I'm Jason.
I'm Julie.
And together, we're Dice and Dragons. What do you...
I don't say it. That's only what you've been playing.
I told you to do the intro.
That wasn't clear.
I said, take it away. This is your idea. Tell them what it's all about. What am I going to do? Once again, from the top. 3, 2, 1. What up, gamers? I'm Jason.
I'm Julie, and together we're Dice and Dragons. And this week, we're bringing you a different kind of video. We're bringing you a top 10.
Yes, and she's going to tell you about it. She's doing all the explanations. I did jump in because I just want to make everyone aware this is her idea. She's taking the lead, so roll with it, honey.
You just couldn't let me do the intro, huh? You had to get it. I normally sit and wait while he talks, but no, Anyways, yes, it was my idea. I thought because we're always short on time, and we've been talking a lot in the reviews about the fact that we appreciate games that can be played in about an hour. I thought, hey, why don't we do a top 10 list for all the busy people out there who are looking for a game that they can play in about an hour or less. And you'll see, we'll talk about them. Some of them are a lot less than an hour.
Yes. Now, we've got our logo that is hiding the first game. It is going to magically disappear. Now, these games all play in right about the hour mark, as Julie mentioned. It may go a little bit over an hour, but that's typically when you're including the setup time. Now, these games are not in order of how quickly they play. All of them play rather quickly, but they are in the order in terms of how much we enjoy the games. These are also the games that best suit that playtime within the under an hour mark. So if you've seen our reviews of these games, it doesn't necessarily mean that they have the best scores, but they fit the criteria for the list, and they are still in our collection and not going anywhere because of those checkboxes that they hit. So that being said, I think I've done a good job explaining the criteria for this list. Did I miss anything at all, Julie?
I think it's good. So we're going to go from 10 down to 1.
And now the logo will magically disappear. And
I was just going to say, right before we do that, we'll just remind you that, like our other top 10 lists, we're going to do 10 through 6. We'll take a little break, and then we'll come back and do 5 through 1.
Okay. So now our logo will magically disappear, and you have our first game, which is Rolling Realms by Stonemaier Games. Now, Julie likes this one more than I do. It may surprise some people out there, but I've discovered I do not like roll and write games. They're just really not for me. However, this one does a very good job of being easy to set up, very easy to play. Every game we've had of this has been around the 25-30 minute mark. It's not going to really change that much with the player counts because everyone is acting simultaneously. So you're going to just have a lot of fun with this game if you like roll and writes and you want to play something in a short period. So Julie, what did you think of Rolling Realms?
Well, I like the concept of you're writing down what you're getting at the erasable marker on the cards. I thought that was nice. It was different. It combined a lot of the Stonemaier games. So if you've played them, it's interesting and it's bringing in the different for most part,
different realms, the different games rethemed as realms.
Yeah, so I thought that was interesting. I love the fact. I think one of the things I like the most about it is the fact that it played in about 25 or 30 minutes, and it's not as simple as Yahtzee. There's a little bit more to it than that, but it is still fairly simple, and there's not too much invested in it if you're losing. I think one of the things I've said is about competitive games is I hate losing, and when I play for an hour and a half to 2 hours and I end up losing, I get quite cranky.
Well, I'm going to be clear, she started to become a better loser as long as she's doing well. She gets really mad, though, if she gets trounced. Don't trounce her in a game. It's not fun for anybody.
So, like we said, this is a great game for under 30 minutes and fairly easy to play, so fairly accessible to a lot of people.
And what gives this an edge over other rolling rights, and one of the things I really like, is the quality of the components, as Julie mentioned. You have the erasable markers. You are marking up your cards. You're not wasting any paper. Stonemaier Games did a great job taking a game that was conceived as something to play during the pandemic, putting it together and packaging it and getting it out in about a year, which is very impressive. So there you have it, our number 10, Rolling Realms. So Julie's going to move that aside, and I will place the next game on the list. Something that I really don't enjoy in terms of the longer game. If you've watched a lot of our reviews, you know that Ticket to Ride is not for me. But we have Ticket to Ride Amsterdam, the 15-minute version of Ticket to Ride. And I have to say, while it's not my favorite, much like Rolling Realms, it does hit that perfect playtime spot, I think, for the type of game that Ticket to Ride is. Now, this kind of also fits with all of the other versions of this game. You do have Ticket to Ride New York and Ticket to Ride London, which are in that 15-minute version of the game.
So, this is another 2 to 4 player game. It is, again, another competitive game. Again, very accessible for ages 8 and above. I think that this is a fun game to play. I like Ticket to Ride. Jason had one very bad experience, and it turned him off. But I think this one's easier to handle because it's a short game.
Well, that's not it. I don't love what I'm doing in Ticket to Ride, and there's a fair bit of randomness in terms of the cards, getting your routes. There is a lot of strategy as to how you're getting your tickets, but once again, that's pulling the right cards, hoping that it all comes together so that you can win. If you're a good player and you play a lot of Ticket to Ride, you're going to see a lot more patterns. That being said, I don't enjoy the game enough to want to play it that much. However, playing something that plays in about 10 to 15 minutes just fits more what I like to do. And by the time I'm starting to get sick of, say, the game that I'm playing, whether I'm winning or losing, the game's about to end. So that's what I really like about this. It is a great 15-minute version of the game. Also, one of the things that I didn't really like about Ticket to Ride is I found that it really overstays its welcome, especially because someone can become a runaway.
The longer version.
Yeah, the longer version can overstay its welcome because, someone could have a runaway leader. You're in for an hour game. You may just not be doing well, but you're in it for the long haul. And maybe you're going to catch up, maybe you're not. But it becomes fairly clear as the game's progressing once you get to the mid to 3/4 of the way through who the leaders are and who's competing to win the game. In this game, if that's happening to you and you're just nothing's going your way, well, guess what? In a few minutes, you can reset the board, restart, and you're going to have another fresh start in front of you, which I think is just really cool and makes the game just that much more playable and a lot more fun to play with families.
I actually felt that it was a little too short. I didn't really, because I'm used to playing the other game, I didn't feel like I had enough time. And we played this a few times with my parents who've played a lot of Ticket to Ride, and I think they enjoyed it for the quickness, but also said you have to get some getting used to when you're used to being able to, take a little bit longer to achieve your goal.
Well, I think your dad must prefer this quick play time. He seemed more interested in, I'm not doing so well, let's just start over. And he liked that aspect of it rather than playing the longer game.
Anything else to say about number 9?
No, so Ticket to Ride Amsterdam and any other of the Ticket to Ride 15-minute series would be a good choice for a game when you do not have a lot of time. So now we're going to come out to one that
Number 8.
Yes, but I played this a lot more than Julie. And it does have a little bit more setup time, but the one thing that's happened with this one is it's gone over well with just about every single group that we played it with. Now, I'm going to have to hold on to this because it's got this weird, funky, old-school box. So standing it up in all its glory, as you can see, it wants to open up and fall all over the place. I'm not going to let that happen. This is Lords of Waterdeep, which is the granddaddy of worker placement games. I've taken this out, played this before, playing Dungeons & Dragons. Set in Dungeons & Dragons world, playing before Dungeons & Dragons. I figured that was the type of theme that would interest some of the players, and it was perfect for us to play as we're waiting for other people to arrive. And I have friends that do not like worker placement games, and this went over as a big hit. They all wanted to play it again. My friend that really hates it was like, you know what? I enjoyed this game. The mechanics, it's smooth, it's fast, it's fun, and he really wanted to play this again. So that was just a huge endorsement for me. I also have the app on my phone, so I play this from time to time to get some practice because Julie tends to kick my butt whenever we play this game. She loves her worker placement games, and she's great at them. And
he keeps saying, I love worker placements. I don't mind worker placements. For some reason, tend to do well at them, but I can't say that I love worker placements. Like, I don't know,
Harry Potter House Cup competition you like playing. You kick a lot of butt in worker placement games, and when I say we got a new worker placement game, you always say I don't love it, but then you always tend to give them a good review, so I don't know. I think you're just being a little cynical there.
Yeah, well, we played this one. I've only played it once. It was interesting. We played it 4 players. It definitely is closer to the 1 hour mark, maybe a little bit over that. So it's not the shortest game.
And that was with teaching the rules, though. I think we clocked this at an hour and 15 minutes with me teaching 3 new players and 2 people that don't game as much as we do. It was my brother and his wife, and they like games. They played games. My brother and I played a lot of HeroQuest, so he really appreciated this as well as the theme. But it took them a while to get the hang of it, but we still weren't that far off the hour mark teaching the game. And when I played this with more experienced gamers, we definitely hit that 60 to the 50-minute mark for the game. So I'm the one that really pushed us on the list, and because it is a worker placement game and it fits sort of that category, we felt that it had a nice spot at number 8, and both of us enjoyed them more than Ticket to Ride Amsterdam and Rolling Realms.
So far, there's a theme. They're all competitive.
Yes, well, most games that play quickly are competitive games, but there are a few that we need to work together to save the day.
And now punch Biff in the face.
Yeah, so we have Back to the Future, Back in Time by Funko Games. So I enjoy this one. I do like it a little bit more than Lords of Waterdeep, I'd say. I think I like the theme of Lords of Waterdeep a little bit more.
I like this theme more.
Yes, but Julie got this one at this spot on our list. So why don't you take it away?
Well, this, for one thing, is right? A cooperative game?
Yes, we're working together to punch Biff in the face. I mean, who plays Biff? Who wants to play Biff? If you want to play Biff, don't comment below or comment below, but just be nice about it, because if you want to play Biff, I'm not so sure you're a nice guy. But maybe you are.
It's one of the first things that Jason and I realized is that we had in common is we both love Back to the Future. I mean, if you don't love Back to the Future, I think we might have a problem. But that's a whole other topic.
Divorce level problem, just so you know.
Yeah, I don't think so. But anyways, we're
Canadian. It's Marty McFly. It's Michael J. Fox. It's kind of in our blood, literally.
It is. This is a very thematic game to Back to the Future. We really enjoyed playing it. The characters are very. Obviously, you want to play Marty, and you want to,
It's Marty and Doc.
The Marty and Doc. I mean, who else? Who wants to play the dog? I mean,
I thought it was cool. They had some cool abilities, but when it came to playing in 2 players, Marty and Doc definitely tandem fairly well together. Jennifer and Einstein had some cool powers, but they didn't really pair as well together.
Anyways, it was a lot of fun. It's very thematic. It plays 2 to 4 players, and again, it's an accessible game. It's something that can be played with pretty much anybody. It says ages 10 and above. I think we had said you could get away with a little bit younger if you're playing with the kids. You could probably explain it to them. There's a little bit of strategy, but it's still doable.
And just like Lords of Waterdeep, this one could go over the hour mark on your first game, but once you get the hang of it, and if you have multiple people doing the setup, because the setup is straightforward, you can get it out to the table really easily and get it played definitely right around that hour mark. Lords of Waterdeep, you probably do need someone to help you out with the setup. I didn't mention that. I would just want to go back to it, especially if you do have the expansion in the same box, but it's not that difficult.
And the clock tower is a dice tower.
Yes, which is pretty cool. Julie's starting to have a thing for dice towers. We started with Wingspan.
We have some really cool ones that the guy who made the table sent us. And we don't get to play them enough. We haven't played anything really with dice recently. But
all right.
Anyways, number 6.
Yeah, so this one is a theme that I never thought Julie would like, but surprise, surprise, these have become some of her most enjoyed games. It is Elder Sign, set in the Cthulhu mythos, and specifically this is in the Arkham Files world. This is the dice game by Fantasy Flight Games. Now, there is a shorter version, well, not version, but a shorter Arkham Files game, which is Arkham Final Hour. Surprisingly enough, that one didn't make the cut because it's specifically designed to be played in 45 minutes to an hour. Whereas this one, we definitely can get it played in about an hour. That being said, player count matters with this one. Small group of players, the hour mark is very doable because you're just chucking dice, working on strategy, especially with 2 players. It works well for us. At a higher player count, you could definitely be going over. I mean, the box does say that the playtime is 1 to 2 hours. We've never come close to the 2-hour mark.
Well, I mean, this is one of the games that we realize plays better at 2 players. Oftentimes, when we can, we'll each play two characters and end up playing 4-player games. But not in this case. This case, it's better to play 2 players, and it's well, and I say that because I'm talking for cooperative games where that's possible. Mm-hmm. If you're playing a competitive game, we're not going to play 4 players. But I enjoy it. It's not the Asylum part that I enjoy. For some reason the Cthulhu stuff has started.
I think it's the characters you've always liked. Like the X-Files, she is an X-File. So it's like just, I would say in terms of, because it's classic horror, but it's like in the similar vein, it's weird, it's a little bit cosmic, but it's like it's just a few steps past the X-Files in terms of horror. It hasn't gone so far into the realm of, like, at least in terms of the games, to the realm of gore and stuff that you would not enjoy.
All right, so this was fun. Like Jason said, it got right around the hour mark, and just more enjoyable than the other version, as you said. Yeah. Again, this is not really for younger players, though. Now we're starting to get, as I believe the theme will be, as we start getting higher on the list, the games get a little bit more. I
think we drop back down as with some of the higher ones.
But I think in the middle spot here.
Yeah, in the middle spot, we're definitely getting some of the more challenging ones. Like I said, Elder Sign, it definitely is borderline for the list, not gonna lie, but at 2 players, it's fun, it's a dice game, and one of the things that you can do with this game is you can definitely speed up your plays the more that you've played it. So once you get used to it, once you get used to the flow, as long as you're taking actions quickly, you can get it under an hour. I think we even got a game in about 45 minutes. So this is one that's heavily dependent on player count, and just to point out, it is 1 to 8 players, which is why you can go up to that 2-hour mark. So it still falls in the category of games you can play quickly, because really, besides a party game, what 8-player game can you play in under, 2 hours, or in between an hour to 2 hours? There really aren't that many of them. And we enjoy Eldritch Horror, which I thought about getting on the list, but that one I know for a fact, much like Arkham Horror, the more players you get, the much longer it gets. So this one, because of the way it plays and the mechanics and the fact that turns are very quick, you're just going to flow a lot easier to get to that quick play mark. So we've gone through 10 through 6. Hopefully you have enjoyed what we presented to you, and you'll be checking them out. We will have links to all the reviews down below, but we're going to grab a sip here right now. We're going to grab our best friend, because we didn't do it earlier because we went right into the review. We're going to take a quick breather. Be back with the top 5. And we're back with our number 5. This is Red Rising by Stonemaier Games. Look at that, here on the list twice. So this is a game that I think I like more than Julie, but she's definitely won this game more than I have. And it's one that we would really like to play with more players. I do think that the game could run a little long at the max player count, but we were getting this game played at around the 30 to 45 minute mark maximum with 2 players. So that's why it's on the list. Hitting that sweet spot player count of 3 to 4 players should really get you into the 60-minute play time. And the beautiful thing about the setup of this game, you take out the board, the components are already nice and sorted, you pick your factions, put your markers out, and you are good to go. So setup is incredibly fast. Same thing with the cards, you shuffle them up, deal them out, and you are ready to rock. So it's very easy to get to the table. It
is, and it definitely, that's another one of the advantages. It did play fast at 2 players. If I remember correctly, one of the reasons that this game you like more than I do is because I think this game stresses me out a little bit more than I like. There's a little bit, there's pressure when you're trying to play this game, more so than maybe other games that we're playing. And I think I have enough pressure with other things in my life. That being said, it is fun. You pulled it out. I'm like, oh yeah, that's a really colorful game.
Yes, the production values are through the roof. It does a great job of adapting the Red Rising IP. It actually got me to go check out the books, which I'm working my way through the audiobooks right now. I've gone through the first one, kind of cooled on the other ones because the first one tells a great story. And I'm waiting for the last book because I'm a completionist. As you will say, I'll start a novel series, and when it takes forever for it to finish, it goes on the shelf and I'll pick it back up when it's done. So that's kind of what I'm doing with this IP right now. But I do love the game, and I really want to get it back out and play it again. It was one of our top games of 2021.
This has been a long pandemic. There's a lot of games that are falling on the list of, we'd like to play with more players. Things have been a little bit stricter where we live than in a lot of other places, but things are starting to open up again.
We also have the little guy, so we got to be a little bit extra careful. So we really enjoy this one. Stonemaier Games did a great job. If you like games like Fantasy Realms, it plays a lot like that. What you're going to be doing in the game is trying to put together combos of cards in your hand to score the most points at the end. Now, the disadvantage of 2 players is you do not see a lot of the cards, so that definitely does make it a little less fun than what it could be, and why we've seen a lot of people say that the game is best at 3 to 4 players. But setup time, production value, there are a few games that you're going to get that have this all in the box that's going to play in a really short period of time. So there you have it. That is Red Rising. And this one, like Red Rising, has made a few of our lists. We have Call to Adventure, not Stormlight Archive, Call to Adventure. Although I must say I'm eagerly awaiting the new Origins, and because this one is bursting at the seams, we are actually getting the new fancy box to match the Stormlight Archive one.
So this is one of these strange games where I prefer to play the competitive version to the cooperative version.
I want to point out, though, if you are much more of a cooperative gamer, Stormlight Archive does have a better cooperative gameplay mode than the original. It was designed around being played cooperatively, and there is the new Origins that is coming that's supposed to even iterate on that again. So one thing I do have to commend Brotherwise Games for is having constantly iterated on Call to Adventure to improve the game where it's been a little bit rough around the edges. That being said, I'll let Julie talk about the competitive mode because she loves it.
Yeah, so we've played this game a lot, and I think one of the things that I like about it is the fact that it can be played again with relatively less experienced gamers. It is also when Jason and I play it, it does play really quickly. I think we get it played in about 30 minutes. I really like the way that the cards play together, and the story that you're telling through the cards that you're picking. Although I do not care to or enjoy making the story at the end. Jason loves that part, and there's a couple.
We've had some great stories that came out at the end of the game. The best one was at a board game night where all 3 stories actually intertwined, and ironically enough, we turned it around on the first storyteller as he told the story of how he rose up to become the king. My character became the king killer because I did have the king killer expansion, and very thematic for the Cyberbard, one of our friends. You can check out his YouTube channel. He does stuff on Twitch as well. He was the lovable rogue that absconded with the queen because the king of the land had become corrupt. And it was just great to tell the story and having everyone that was watching us play at the end just laughing as we told the great tale. And also having our buddy Stuart being like, no, that was not my king. And we're like, it was your king, buddy. Sorry.
So that being said, it is fun. It is a quick play, and it's relatively easy to play.
Yeah, and there's lots of different versions that you can get of the game. Also, the game is really easy to set up once you deal out the origin cards, which are fairly easy to determine. If you haven't played the game in a while, you can do a little bit of shuffling. It shouldn't really make that much of a difference. You may just need to take out a few cards depending on the game mode that you're playing. But really, everything's all stacked up, so you literally just plop it out, set it up, and you are good to go. And it can be played by anybody. And as Julie mentioned, the competitive mode works so well because while you are competing for different cards, that low level of player interaction and the focus on the storytelling and really trying to build your own character means that you're not always often in conflict, and it plays
that
fast.
And maximize points, basically.
Yes, you're trying to maximize your own points. And so you're doing a little bit of your own thing without too much conflict. Or if you're playing the Stormlight Archive and potentially Origins, you're working together. So lots of options for people that want to play this game.
So it's a 1 to 4 player game, officially for ages 13 and above.
Yes, and you can definitely play it at younger player counts, for sure. It's very easy to play. So this one represents an entire series of games, but by far our favorite of the games, it is the 5-minute series with 5-minute dungeon. Like Call to Adventure, this one has always been a hit when we've taken it out. It's surprisingly enough knocked bigger games off the table because people still wanted to play this game and finish it. And like Call to Adventure, also lots of people that have played this game have immediately gone out and bought their own copy. So lots of ringing endorsements. And you might be wondering, how long does a game take to play?
5 minutes.
About 5 minutes. There is some pausing to it, but you ain't going to go much more than, let's say, 7 or 8 minutes with some pauses when you're playing the game. And you got to have the character to be able to do that, too.
Yeah, it is a lot of chaotic, crazy fun. It's just chaos and it's just fun. And, I was complaining about some games that stress me out. This is a good stress because it's 5 to 7 minutes, as Jason said. And, I think we've played some pretty crazy 5-minute games that we did not pause at all. I think we started pausing maybe a little bit more when we figured out a little bit more strategy, but it's just a lot of good chaotic fun. Basically, you're slapping cards down on the table trying to beat bosses. You need specific cards to beat a specific
matching symbols,
basically to match your symbols, and there's no order. It's just whoever has the card goes. Whoever has a power, they can make you do other things. So it's just lots of crazy stupid fun. And we've played it when we had non-gamers over. We've had it with gamers over. It's just, it's a nice...
appeals to everyone.
Yeah, it's a nice, beginning of the board game night game. It's a waiting for another game to finish.
The funny thing is, if you start the game night with it, people might be having so much fun that they want to finish the game, which is exactly what happened. We took it off the table and people were like, can we take it back out? We want to finish. We want to get through the whole thing. So that's what we did. And everyone had lots of laughs, lots of fun, and we got through the game. It really didn't take that long. It was about half an hour. Then we just put the big game back on the table, but it really was a huge hit. So can't say enough about 5-Minute Dungeon. You can go with 5-Minute Marvel, which is a Marvel version of the game. We've enjoyed 5-Minute Marvel. It's a good use of the theme, but adapting the superheroes doesn't flow as smoothly as 5-Minute Dungeon. Now, if you do get the Curses Fall Again expansion, it does up the difficulty significantly. So not necessarily the best thing to play with kids. Now, there's also 5-Minute Mystery, which we did not enjoy a lot at the 2-player count. It hasn't been on the table for a while, but if you want a mystery game, if you've got 3 to 4 players to have the right amount of people just to manage the different things that you need to manage, it's also going to be a very fun time. So there you have it, the 5-minute series, in particular, 5-Minute Dungeon.
We shouldn't talk more than 5 minutes about this 5-minute game.
So we've got a very small box now, but one that has been a huge hit. If we're going somewhere like a cottage, anything, for this one always comes with us because Love Letter has lots of laughs, much like 5-Minute Dungeon. It's silly fun, and no, I'm not a priest. Inside joke. But we've had so much success with this game because it's very easy to play. It's a social deduction game because just the way that it plays, you never really feel like overly antagonistic, trying to do the best you can, because each round is so quick. Even when you lose, you're still having fun. You're just eager to get back into it.
Yeah, and Jason says social deduction for those who aren't necessarily big gamers, but that listen to us, just for some idea on some easier games, or if you're just checking us out for the first time. Basically, you're trying to survive with the highest ranked person in class. So, are you going to stay alive
until the end?
Until the end, or are you, are
be found out?
But you
captured by the guards.
You can survive. It's happened, and I've survived as I can't remember what the 3 value card is. Played it so much, I should know it, but it doesn't matter.
A priest.
No, that's not. That's 2.
No, it's not 2. pieces is 3. The protection was the 4. The last one we played, there's a few different versions of this, just by the way. So the last one we played was with your parents, was Letters to Santa. So I am drawing a little bit of a blank because for some reason I have the snowman and the alternate versions in my head.
And I was thinking about that too. So I'm like, you can finish as Santa Claus, but you can also finish as, and have the highest card and still be the winner with the snowman.
Hey, we've actually had people finish with the level 1 card because that was their last card, and they made the last person discard because they both somehow got to the end with that specific card. So it just works very well. Everyone's going to be laughing, and you can even play this with more players. You can get the bigger versions of the game to get it all the way up to 8 players, whereas this one is only 4. That expands the roles, and it still plays really quickly. Now, the game can run long, but the only reason why it's running long is because everyone is winning, and you eventually have, 8 players with 2, and you're trying to get that last player to get the last one. So it's rare, but it can happen.
You can also house rule it that, if it's taking a long time and you're done playing, it can be, the best the first person to hit 2 or first person to
you
hit.
can end the game basically when there's a winner whenever you're ready to go.
Yep.
So there you have it. That is Love Letter. Now, you can go with either version of this game, but this is our number 1 game. It is a cooperative game.
It is our number 1 fast-playing game.
Yes, our number 1 fast-playing game, which is Horrified. Now, this one really clocks in right at that 1 hour mark. You can play it faster, but with the max player count, we've always hit right about an hour. This can be played by anybody. I've literally not taught the game. I have given people, here are your rules reference cards. I will guide you through the different phases, but you know what you're doing, you know what your objectives are. We just sort of reviewed how we needed to defeat the different monsters, what they're going to be doing in the basics of moving around the board, getting the items, and then how they need to, what specific actions they have to take at specific locations for the monsters, and that was it. That's the only thing that needed to be gone over because all the steps are clearly detailed and it is very easy to play.
Yes, I agree. I mean, and I like this version the best. Jason asked me which one I preferred. There's the classic Universal monsters, and then there's the American monsters. And as Jason said, I am an X-File, and this just reminds me of the X-Files. I mean, we're fighting the Chupacabra at one point. So
yes. Also, production value. This game looks better than the Universal Monsters game. The miniatures are more detailed. The boards are more colorful. Now, it is very close to a reskin of the game. The only difference is the monsters. So if you do love Horrified, yes, there is a reason to have the original and American monsters because you essentially have 5 or 6 new monsters that you will be taking on in either version of the game. The investigators are renamed. They're identical. The bystanders do the same things. The items are pretty much the same, and everything else like that you're drawing from the perk deck are almost identical. It's really only the monsters that have been changed in this version. So
they're awesome.
Yes. So depending on how you feel about the game, and I think you will enjoy it, you may want to get both versions. Also, very reasonably priced. This is a good family game. You can easily play this.
Another cooperative game.
Yes, with younger players as well. Especially if they're not scared of any of the monsters. Like they think the Yeti is cool. Like there may be some scary miniatures, but you don't really have anything that's going to give them a bad dream on the table. And I think that this is recommended. I can't see the ages in front of us right now. I don't remember what the age range is, but I would say that you could easily get away with probably even like a 6 or 7 year old.
I was going to say 8. I was going to say 8 or above. Maybe if they're used to playing games or they're mature. When Jason says when it comes to monsters that they're not going to get scared, there's a little bit of an age where they're a little sensitive to monsters. So if that's the case, then this is not the game.
Yeah, if they like Monsters Inc., they can probably play this.
A little different, but in any case, it's an easy cooperative game that you can play with the family or with anybody who would like this kind of theme. It's easy to play. Again, we've played this with my parents, and it's easy to guide people along. So it's a lot of fun to play. I look forward to playing with this with the little guy in a few years. He's not ready for it yet, but I think this is the kind of game that we're going to enjoy. It's going to be around for a long time. And that's why I made it to the number 1 on the list. It's just really got the best of everything. It is definitely a recommend for me. And it's something, honestly, that I would consider giving as a gift to somebody who's the casual gamer, or somebody who likes to pull out an easy to play game on a weeknight instead of, sitting in front of the TV, the screen. It's a fun game to play with friends or family.
And also, the difficulty is very scalable. So if you want to have a brutally hard experience or a nice light family game night, you get all of that in this box. So that is one of the big advantages of Horrified. Just all around one of the best cooperative games that has come out in recent years, just because of where it fits in terms of the whole lexicon. It feels similar to Pandemic in terms of some of the stuff that you're trying to do managing the board, but easier to set up and easier to play than Pandemic, and a theme that will just appeal to, I think, just a lot more players, because, well, we're not a big fan of Pandemic, even though we do have Pandemic World of Warcraft, which hopefully will get reviewed and onto the table soon.
I don't know how many people are going to want to play Pandemic after we've lived it for 2 years.
Well, it's still a popular and very high-selling game. So on that note, we're done our list. Please let us know what you thought about it down below.
He's stealing my lines once again. Like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell to be notified when we have some new content for you.
And as I was mentioning, take a look down below.
There are links to all of our social media, since I have to do it to him what he did to me. Go ahead.
Yes, links to all of our social media feeds, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. So make sure to check them out. There'll be plenty of pictures of Julie and I playing all of these games on our social media feeds. There's also a link to multizone.ca, a great Canadian game store. So click that link. You'll get 10% off your next purchase. Great way to support the channel. And you will be returning some of that purchase to us. And you can find most of those games on there. And then make sure that you comment. Let us know what you thought about this list. If we missed something, is there something that you saw in the background here or that you've seen us review that you think should have been on the list? We would love to hear from you. And then on that note, we're going to have some videos popping up in front of us. In front of me will be our most recent release. In front of Julie will be one of our top 10 lists. Which one should it be, Julie?
Why not our top 10 for 2021?
So our top 10 games that we played in 2021. So you may see a few repeat offenders on that list because they made the top of this one. Weird. We don't have much time to play games, so some stuff is making it to the top of the shelf.
On that note, we're going to grab our drink.
Grab our best friend.
We're going to keep playing games.
Keep playing games. Keep playing all the games on this list. Well, at least the ones in the top 5 on a regular basis.